Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are unlocking what I honestly consider a practical superpower. We're talking about transforming everyday workplace chaos into incredibly efficient, razor-sharp execution. We're diving deep into the Harvard Business School's Project Management Manual. So, if you've ever felt like your team is just, endlessly spinning its wheels, or if you simply want to understand the exact mechanics behind how the world's absolute best organizations crush their biggest goals, well, you are exactly in the right place. Let's get started.
Okay, I want you to imagine a scenario for a second. Have you ever been handed an impossible deadline, given this massive, looming goal, and told that you have an incredibly strict budget with absolutely zero margin for error? Maybe it's a global market study, a massive software rollout, or some complex corporate merger. Suddenly you are squarely in the hot seat, and those deliverables, they have to be completed on a schedule that, frankly, feels way too aggressive.
Now, the stakes in these situations are absolutely astronomical. Effective project management isn't just some nice-to-have administrative skill, it is a massive financial driver. Studies highlight an extraordinary reality here. Get this, one company saw a 500% return on investment just by creating a standard project plan template. And another, they hit an estimated 900% ROI by effectively managing and eventually early canceling a deeply troubled project. On the flip side, sloppy methods are basically a financial black hole.
As the manual itself points out, and I love this quote, the companies that can repeat this process again and again have discovered the manufacturer's perpetual motion machine. Executing projects well isn't just about crossing a single task off your list and wiping the sweat from your brow. It's really about building a reliable, humming engine for constant, repeatable success.
So here is our roadmap for today. We'll quickly cover the power of projects, the core process model, defining the exact objective, the is and is not framework, breaking down the work, and finally, scheduling and dependencies.
Section 1. The Power of Projects. From war rooms to boardrooms.
To really understand their power, we kind of have to look back at where these methodologies actually came from. The foundation was laid way back when Frederick Taylor first scientifically studied work and process design. But it really exploded in the 1950s with the incredibly complex U.S. Defense Department's Polaris missile project. They had to manage this wild array of specialists, so they built a literal project war room. From Henry Gaunt's Army logistics to Cold War defense, these techniques eventually spilled over into the automotive industry, engineering, and today, they are the absolute essential backbone of cross-functional corporate teams and modern software development.
Yet despite this super rich history, projects still fail at an alarming rate today. Why is that? Well, an international study cited in the manual found that 71% of new product development is delayed due to poor definition and misunderstanding of customer requirements. Think about that for a second. 71%. It's not a lack of talent or hard work that's killing these projects, it's a lack of definition. And that shifts our focus completely to why a rigidly structured process is so desperately needed.
Section 2. The core process model. The anatomy of a project.
Now, Harvard Business School provides a remarkably comprehensive framework to prevent exactly those kinds of delays. This flowchart represents a systematic, highly repeatable, and scalable process for managing literally any project you can throw at it. Look, every project is bounded by its results, its time, and its resources. This model gives you the exact blueprint for developing hard data about every single one of those parameters, so you can actually make smart, effective trade-off decisions when things get bumpy. The process basically boils down into 3 major life cycles: define and organize the project, plan the project, and track and manage the project. And the manual is super quick to point out that while it might look like a straight line here, it's actually highly iterative. You're constantly self-checking and looping back as you learn more.
Section 3. Defining the exact objective. The right project.
Okay, this first phase, it's absolutely crucial. Because perfectly executing the wrong project is a literal complete waste of everybody's time. Our very first step is to clarify the project's parameters, the who, the what, and the how, by locking down the scope, the schedule, and the resources. So how do we actually do that effectively without getting bogged down?
We do it through what's called a Project Objective Statement, or POS. The manual defines this as a clear, concise statement of 25 words or less describing the project's scope, schedule, and allocated resources. Limiting this to 25 words is a stroke of genius. It absolutely forces precision. It makes the team cut the corporate jargon and prevents those disastrous fundamental misunderstandings before a single dollar is ever spent.
So, what does a perfect project objective statement actually look like?
Check out this example from the Apollo moonshot. Put a man on the moon and return him safely by December 31, 1969, at a cost of $9 billion. I mean, wow, it vividly captures the scope. Man on moon, return safely. It captures the schedule, end of 1969. And the resources, $9 billion. The whole shebang, all in a single visionary sentence.
To really illustrate the power of this, the source shares an incredible anecdote. A senior manager at a medical products company asked her team to craft a POS. They came back with this messy, confusing 65-word statement with multiple dates and weird alternative paths. When she finally forced them to distill it down to just 25 words, she was absolutely stunned to realize they were gearing up to execute the completely wrong project. Catching this early saved her 40-person team 3 months of wasted work, which she estimated saved the company $1.8 million. That right there is the million-dollar power of 25 words.
Section 4. The is and is not. Drawing the boundaries.
Right, so once that overarching objective is set in stone, we have to figure out our major deliverables. And they introduced this ingeniously simple framework called the is-not list. It just involves brainstorming exactly what is included in the project and, equally important, explicitly what is excluded. If a stakeholder expects, say, a massive strategic plan, but you firmly place that on the is-not list, you have just dodged a massive conflict. Deciding what must be excluded prevents nasty scope creep, perfectly aligns expectations, and makes the project, actually feasible.
Section 5. Breaking down the work. No task left behind.
Now we shift gears into Phase 2. We've got a clearly defined project, but how do we actually execute it without accidentally omitting some critical piece of work? We develop what's called a work breakdown structure, or WBS. Listen, the single greatest source of project delays is work that is just inadvertently forgotten. The WBS is a hierarchical breakdown explicitly designed to make sure no task is ever left behind. It's like a giant puzzle, but you know you have all the pieces.
And here's the exact procedure. You start by identifying your major deliverables. Then you break those down into smaller and smaller tasks. The golden rule in the manual is that you keep breaking it down until you hit tasks that take roughly 2 days to 2 weeks to complete. And step 4, it's absolutely vital. Assign exactly one single owner to each task. The manual correctly points out that tasks without owners simply don't get done. Assigning one specific owner completely eliminates the whole finger-pointing game and vastly increases personal accountability.
Let's look at a specific software project example to see this in action. You can see right here how high-level deliverables, things like develop specifications and designs, or develop and test driver, are categorized into very distinct work groupings. It's highly visual, incredibly structured, and guarantees that absolutely anyone looking at the plan knows exactly what all the moving parts are at a glance.
Section 6. Scheduling and dependencies. Mapping the work.
Okay, to develop a rock-solid schedule, we need 2 things: realistic time estimates for our lowest-level tasks and the logical relationships between them, what we call dependencies. Think of logical relationships like this. You must put on your socks before your shoes. I mean, sure, it is technically physically possible to put your shoes on first, but doing so introduces a severe risk of public embarrassment. By meticulously mapping out what physically must happen before the next task can even begin, your schedule suddenly transforms from a wild guess into a trustworthy, credible map of the future.
So we've covered the history, the incredible power of the 25-word constraint, the clear boundaries of the is-not list, and the brilliant structure of a work breakdown structure. Let me leave you with this final, provocative thought to wrap up our explainer today. Look at your own plate. Are you currently working on the right project with crystal clearly defined objectives and single task owners? Or are you, right now, just managing chaos? Challenge yourself to apply these HBS frameworks to your own work today. I promise it's a game changer. Thank you so much for learning with the explainer.